One.
So you have to speak up, sir.
Yeah, another warning that you should have when you go on a leash.
Can't hear you.
Yeah, just a moment. Go ahead.
You had a warning, and you still don't have your dog on a
As soon as
leash.
he brings
Is
in
there a
the
fine
screen.
at the end of the day?
Yes.
There is a fine.
Okay, no,
Yes.
function.
You need to read, the dog control law. There's a fine for first offenses and subsequent offenses. And so for us to issue those, we have to have somebody certified to do so. So we need to take some additional steps. In the meantime, we're doing as much moral persuasion as we can, and in the help of the sheriff's office. Is there any update on the winter summer recreation activities in the park?
Well, Jasmine is not here, but she's working on, for this weekend, Winifred, as you may know, we already have a flyer ready. She contacted the fire department, the Fleischman's Fire Department, to ask them to be there, one or two guys to be on site, just in case. And unfortunately, the fire department has a funeral to attend to because of the passing of Richard O'Hare, one of the members, and they have that on Saturday. Jasmine is going to be talking to Todd and see if we can ask any of the other local fire departments and if they can attend there, but she's going to ask Todd Wickham tomorrow because he is being, after work, he's been heading out to Westchester to visit his granddaughter, which also is sick. So she's working on that, and hopefully we can have an answer for tomorrow. And hopefully it's gonna happen on Saturday. So that's the latest.
That would be great.
Bonfire.
It's 5:30.
So
5:30.
there's a plan for a president's weekend bonfire in the village park on Saturday, 5:30.
5:30 p.m. Yes.
That's the plan, and it would be important, it's important to have the presence of the fire department.
Yes. And we will inform the final decision via our website, the Fleischman's website, to let everybody know it will happen or it will not happen.
I think we should use the,
The Facebook page.
Facebook page. I think she's working on that. Yes. Yes.
okay.
So that's that.
Oh, okay, so,
The next item is a discussion about the public space planning and coordination with Fleischman's First. I want to speak to this because I wanted to set in motion a resolution to authorize Fleischman's First in conjunction with the village to proceed with this plan. The Ann Roche made a presentation in August of the space. Let's see if I can find it. It's a vision for a connected village that would bring together all of the 17 spaces that we have. Bear with me a minute. So this plan is in a concept and a basic implementation stage in pieces. The objectives were to identify and link the public spaces in walking, cycling, and driving tours with a cohesive, informative, accessible plan that engages the local community, special interest groups, bikers, scouters, birders, visitors. And so it's a 5-year plan that was set in motion And in conversation with the Fleischmans first, since August, when it was first presented, and subsequently at the Fleischmans first annual meeting, and then incorporated in John Duda's presentation on the scenic byway. Since that time, the Fleischmans first has gotten a grant from the Community Garden Club to fund and provide volunteers to do some plantings on one of the sites. And they've also made a commitment with respect to another $5,000 to support this plan going forward. I want to acknowledge the work that's been done here, and that I really want to acknowledge it and also authorize Fleischman to work in conjunction with the village to implement this plan and to continue the development of this program for Connected Village. So I have the resolution, and then if I put it on the table, then we can discuss it to see how we want to proceed. For the email with the resolution. Oh, so I wanted to put forward a resolution to authorize Fleischman's first in conjunction with the village to implement the public spaces master plan as presented by Ann Hirsch to the board in August, based on available funding, and to provide periodic reporting on implementation and further development of the plan to the village board. So I'll bring that on the floor, and I know the board has not seen this version of the document, not different from what was presented in August in concept. But what are your thoughts on this?
It's a start. I'd like to make comments about, I'd like to make a comment about each one of our properties as an input.
Yeah. So this is a work in progress. You did some detailed work on the area at the edge of behind the kiosk. So that complements the work that we're doing. So this plan can evolve. So because grants have been raised to support this, I want to empower Fleischman first to implement those grants. So that's why I'm putting forward this resolution. So are there other comments and concerns about this?
Well, Winifred, before we proceed with this morning with your email, this is the first that I hear about this particular plan that you plan to do. I would like to meet with Ann, if her time permits, and go over in more detail, see what she wants to do before I approve anything.
Okay, this was presented, it's been presented twice, and the third time, which you attended. Yasmin is our liaison for the public space initiative. So I would like her to play the primary role.
Okay,
So if your interest is in having a refresher on this and getting more specifics, I suggest we delegate to Yasmin and me
okay,
with your assistance, if we can meet this week.
Absolutely.
Wednesday or Thursday,
yes,
to proceed to move this forward. So what I propose here is that we not adopt this resolution at this meeting, but we adopt a resolution to authorize Yasmin and Winifred in conjunction with Sam's input to adopt this plan and report back to the board next month.
yes,
Okay, so.
Yes.
Okay, so can I, it's being rewritten to authorize to authorize Jasmine Sredi and Winifred Subin to meet to finalize this plan for this authorization to work with Flashman's First. And based on Yasmin's availability, we'd like to do that Wednesday or Thursday of this week.
Yes.
So can I have a motion to adopt that? Adopt the resolution to that effect?
Yes.
I second that.
Oh, okay. This is great. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I think, as you've mentioned in the past, Sam, this is really a nice reflection on the degree to which we can collaborate with individuals in the community who want the best for all of us.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Winifred.
Because my name came up.
Yes, recognize it. I'm Hirsch.
Now, just to let you know, I'm not here for this week, but I am more than happy to speak with you anytime next week. I'm quite flexible. And essentially what we're doing here is just bringing a volunteer effort together. We all know we want clean water, we want clean air, we want a healthy village. And there's only this many Indians. So, but there's a lot of people out there that will give their volunteer time to varying degrees. And so the idea is to get everybody's input. And then I believe John has a meeting planned where I'm going to show a lot of pictures. And before that meeting, I welcome anyone's input. We had a great turnout when we presented a very short little presentation at Heidi's Inn. And a lot of good ideas came in. So this is not set in stone. We're not trying to get the plan approved. We just are moving forward with the concept of, yeah, we want volunteers. We want a beautiful village. We want fresh water. We want clean air, and volunteers can help. How can they help? So I just wanted to make that clear.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anne.
And you brought money to the table.
Yeah. And that's how all this started, because there was money on the table that Winifred didn't want to leave for the kiosk welcome area. It was November, the season was over, and she asked me, because I have a background in public land arts, is there any way we can use this money? And everybody, she had come into it and inherited from a prior period. And we jumped in there and we acted to get it done. And so that sort of started the whole thing of how can we coordinate on another level where we have a calendar and we have the different concepts sorted out.
Thank you.
So welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anne.
Okay, moving on, fundraising. So the first item is the O'Connor asked for demolition of 1023 Main Street, the building adjacent to this. So I have some news here. It is now being put out on an auction as of April 1. It's going to be sold at auction at the courthouse in Delhi. So there are two questions in my mind. In my conversations with the treasurer of the county, they've asked us, do we want does the village want to own that property? And do we have a use for it? And so I wanted to just bring that to our attention, because that would precipitate us getting the money to demolish the building. And so the treasurer indicated any reasonable offer would be considered. They would, in general, prefer not to take it out to auction, but I wanted to get your thoughts on whether we have a purpose for this property. I don't really, you may want to think about it. I mean, it's prime real estate, but here in the middle of the village. And I think it was something we should think about, but my feeling is we own 11 properties, and that's a lot of properties for the village. So if we were able to get this for so long, would that be a benefit to us? So if we have an interest, we could pursue that. Otherwise, it would go to auction to the highest bidder, who would, hopefully there would be bidders on the property. And it would go into private hands for demolition and development. So so is there any general thoughts on which way we should go?
If we purchase the property, then it would cost us the demolition,
Only.
That's correct.
and that's roughly 20 to 30.
30 to 50. The village owning it, we would be required to pay prevailing wage. Private owners would not.
Once it's demolished, what does the village plan to do with the property?
So that is the question I'm raising. That is the question I'm raising, whether we should not consider it and just let it go to auction.
Do we have to make a decision right now, Winifred?
No.
So, yeah, why don't we
Give
just
it
think,
some thought.
yeah, let's give it some thought.
Right, because if we decide we want to do that, then we have an opportunity to raise the money through the O'Connor Foundation for the demolition.
Yes,
But-
then that will make sense.
Yeah, but then we own another property. And so to be continued.
Yes.
Next item. To this topic.
This topic, that building. Are there liens and obligations, financial obligations that come with the package?
No,
When is it off?
on April 1. It's coming up.
Okay.
Next item, the Flushing Heights Bridge and Culvert proposal. On the access road up Flushing Heights, you may be aware of, the culvert is collapsing and is in a very precarious situation for access to the properties up on the Fleischman's Heights Road and to Spillian and to the depot managed by the Delaware and Ulster Railroad. And so we've been in conversation with the county, county DPW, some communication with the state DOT, with Spillian, who's particularly affected by it. And our engineers, Delaware Engineering, and we requested a proposal from Ryan, from a bridge, a historic bridge developer, engineering firm, and we have that proposal circulated. There's no decision needed now, but it's an $18,000 proposal to evaluate and to make recommendations for capital work to be done to restore the bridge. The initial estimates 2 years ago were kind of off the cuff by DPW of $500,000 to repair that bridge. So what we're faced with is a need for raising the money for this engineering study, which ordinarily precedes a capital grant. So I wanted to put this on the table as one of our fundraising aspirations that we need to take seriously, because it's going to affect properties here in the village if we don't act in a timely way to get recommendations and to repair this culvert. So I think there's no further action other than we have to commit to raising the money purpose. So adding that to our portfolio of fundraising opportunities. Next item on fundraising.
Can I just,
Oh,
yeah, one of the options could be to leave that road as a one-lane roadway and just stabilize the bridge below it from crumbling further.
I'm not sure, there is a bridge that, a stone bridge that you would go under and make a left turn to go up the road there, that's not what
No.
you're talking about.
no. It's beyond that, it's to the right of that. It's at the crest of that hill at the same elevation
As
as,
the railroad, as the old depot there,
yes, the old depot. It's at that same elevation.
and that's under.
Yes. It's collapsing. It's not just crumbling, it's collapsing. And it's an architecturally distinct bridge. Yes, Roy.
If you go up and look under that bridge, the uphill side is a stone arch, beautifully built, totally intact stone bridge. When it was a one-lane road created. A second lane was added and railroad ties were put under to support the second section, and they have since bowed and is collapsing. So if you restore to one lane, you've got an absolutely beautiful bridge. The question is, will the highway department be able to cross that single lane bridge? Just to give you further information on the bridge itself.
Well, the fire department,
Yes, that is an issue which precipitates this study, this evaluation of the bridge and what can be done to stabilize the bridge. And to address whether a one-lane bridge will still be viable. Right, so yes. Next item. We are still working on stormwater retrofit projects. Having finished the Lake Street project, we have two more projects that have around which engineering studies have been done. One is the runoff from Schneider Avenue that affects the properties on Main Street, beginning from Breezy Hill, from Old Hilltop Road, all the way down to almost to Depot Street. So there's a significant water runoff that needs to be mitigated, and engineering studies have been done on that, as well as an engineering study done on the intersection of Ellsworth Avenue and Wagner Avenue, where there is a big depression and accumulate and lack of drain inlets, and creates a stormwater problem for the village. So those are two projects that money has to be raised for. Any of these projects are $100,000 plus projects. So that's part of the burden of reviewing fundraising opportunities online, seeing where we can access money and to be writing grants for that purpose. So in my view, we haven't decided on which is the higher priority, the stormwater runoff from Schneider Avenue or whether it's the Wagner Avenue. So that's something that we need to address and come to some conclusion on what we focus on for fundraising.
I think it's Wagner Avenue because it's immediately on the roadway, as opposed to Schneider. It takes a while just flooding everyone's backyard and being a nuisance. I was wondering if this property could help connect Schneider Avenue drainage to Main Street, if you own the property next door. for
Yeah, there's no easy, it's an engineering solution. And so, yes, whether we own the property or somebody else owns the property, the money has to be raised to do the work. So I don't really have an answer to if we own that property, does it change?
Well, we own this one, so we could probably, heading uphill, going that way, off the Schneider.
Well, there has been an engineering study of this whole, it's not likely that we would parse out property by property because the runoff does not respect property boundaries. So it's a solution for the entire runoff. Okay, so the next item is the Mark project has submitted their plan for next year, which begins in our next fiscal year, where they are wanting to parse out the costs to submit applications for fundraising. Oh, I'm really confused here. I'm looking for the pricing schedule.
Those two pages, second page.
Oh, yeah. So. So right now, we have a agreement that goes through May 31st for $10,000 for applying for as many grants as we can get time with PEG to submit their applications. But these grants that we're looking for, the proposals are for the implementation stage for following the planning grant for Main Street revitalization. That's a $5,000 grant. So if we wanted to, there are at least 4 or 5 of these grants that we would want to apply for. However, the prospect of spending $20,000 to $30,000 fundraising would, in my opinion, break our budget. So this is where we need to become creative and be willing to weigh in and begin to do some grant writing. Because we have many opportunities and many aspirations. So think about that and commit to this kind of fundraising. All right, next item, we have a number of new business items. We have a contract renewal for the water system and for the wastewater treatment plant. So Cedarwood has submitted their recommendations for renewal. And it's consistent with prior years.
That's one's your account, I think, right? No, it's different.
That's an engineering.
Oh,
So with the wastewater contract, they're proposing a 3-year contract for the wastewater treatment plant for in total. This is water of $300,040. The contract is consistent with prior years, same scope of services, and for a 3-year period.
is that the same
So-
thing?
So what do you think about this?
Your contract.
So the contract has a 4% increase over the prior year, which I think is reasonable. And I've been pleased with the work of the wastewater treatment plant staff and their participation in some of the problem solving that we have in the village regarding the wastewater treatment plant. So I don't see any challenges to their performance. Any thoughts? So are you prepared to approve this, or there are some questions I have for them regarding the use of prevailing wage and whether they are consistent with prevailing wage. And because we want to not pay more than prevailing wage. So I'm actually asking for authorization to negotiate to the extent we can reduce their hourly fees, to have a conversation and to pursue that, and authorize the mayor to approve this contract based on negotiations. You have a motion? To that effect?
Motion to have you negotiate
Yes.
with Cedarwood.
Okay. Second, and all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Similarly, we have the water treatment plant operations, which have a total cost of $18,304 for the year, which is also a 4% increase. And I want to evaluate their use of prevailing wage on this contract as well. They have a provision, I have no other concerns about this contract, but I do want to bring up an issue about the water fund, that it has very, very narrow margins. In other words, we barely collect them. We barely break even based on water rates, turn off and turn on. This is an operation of the wastewater treatment plant. The billing rate for the additional services of turn on and turn off, what we charge customers is less than what their staff bill us. So that's contributing to this problem. Our rates may need to be revised to reflect either actual costs or to negotiate down the rates for the additional work for turn on and turn off notices and for special work that is done. Diane, you're most conversant with that. Do you have anything you want to add to that?
No, because as you and I discussed, you said that you were going to look into the problem that I had as far as them charging the more money per hour. And if we look into that, I think that it should come down a little bit because we're already paying X amount, so.
Okay, so this is basically a heads up that we may have to, in this upcoming year, increase the rates that the
Charge.
water billing rates, so that the water fund is self-sufficient. Right now, as you've seen, we had to postpone the replacement of a fire hydrant, and now there's another major piece of equipment that is 30 years old that needs to be replaced. So the capital replacement is going to really eat into this problem.
Question, did you say is less than what that the village is doing?
That's correct. That's correct.
And are you considering raising that price to at least cover the exact cost, maybe not make a profit, but have it at least pay for itself?
That's the issue. We want it to be self-sufficient without burdening costs.
But you said to raise the cost of the water, instead of just changing the cost of turning the water on and off.
You're
There's
correct.
other parts that we're replacing as well.
We know that particular issue of the rates being charged for turn on and turn off don't appear to be adequate to be self-sustaining. We're not clear whether the water usage charges that we bill to customers based on the volume of usage, whether that's adequate, given the fact that there's such narrow margins and we're barely breaking even. And we have capital costs to pay for. So that
We're
money,
raising both costs.
we need to undertake the work to figure out where we have the problem.
Well, it would seem to me, if I may say, that just breaking, it would just seem logical to charge people what the village is being charged as a basis, as one item, for the cost of turning on and off.
So I hear you. So part of the question is, can we reduce those costs? So it's not all together a one for one. They bill us, we pay them. Maybe we don't have to pay them, but we can renegotiate the rates.
I see.
I'm just bringing this to our attention
Yes,
that this is something that has to be looked at. Okay, we have so looking for an authorization for me to negotiate the renewal of the water contract to see if we can reduce the hourly rates and any other items to negotiate. So I'm looking for authorization for me to do that negotiation. And do you want to participate in that?
Yes.
Okay, so Stuart and I will work with Cedarwood to address issues on these contracts.
good. Yes,
So you need a
Yes.
motion? or-
Motion to negotiate with Cedarwood.
On the water and wastewater treatment contracts and to come to agreement.
to reduce.
All right, so Stuart motion.
The
You need a
second.
second.
I second it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, the Delaware County Planning Consultant Contract. I was still working on it, so I lost it. Where this is a renewal of an agreement for technical services for the Delaware County Planning Department, working with our planning board and our zoning board of appeals, and providing consultation with our code enforcement officer for $3,500. And in the same amount for prior years. So I'm looking for a motion to approve this contract with our county planning department.
It's right there on the finger. You got it right here. Mhm.
I make a motion.
Okay. A second? And second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Okay, good. Memorial Day street fair approvals. So we have a letter from Rob Halverson that And to the Memorial Street Fair on Sunday, May 28th, from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. With an opening from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. They are seeking the village's endorsement for this event. That will be covered under the village's insurance umbrella. That the village is a co-sponsor of this event, and that the village representatives of the fire police will be available on site during the fair hours. And that the village crew will provide assistance with the Main Street barricades, garbage collection, and disposal of cleanup material following the street fair. So I'd like to get a motion to accept those responsibilities and to authorize the Memorial Day Street Fair.
I make a motion to. Basically, this is the stuff that we do every year, Winifred, nothing different.
Nothing different.
I'll second that. I'd like to include, we should get some more garbage cans also.
Specifically for the fair or
For the fair, right? Yeah, for that day of the fair. Good.
or remove garbage cans from elsewhere in the village to Main Street?
We could do that.
For that day, yeah.
Okay. All those in favor?
I,
Opposed, motion carries.
She's not.
The next item is the priorities for 2023-2024. So this is the big nut what we committee are proposing as part of the annual budget, which is under development, to be included in our work plan for 24, 25, 26, and 27. So as you see in this schedule, there's $1.5 million worth of capital work that has to be done. And we have to bring our wits together to raise the money to do this. And this is for infrastructure for roads. And some of it is aspirational, replacing sidewalks where necessary, installing guide rails on Breezy Hill Road, on Old Hallpot Road. Undertaking the stormwater runoff. Something that we need to be aware of is that the water pipes in the village have to be evaluated for lead. And that's a study that has to take place in 2026 as mandated by the state of New York. So that's something we have to keep on our radar. We may not be subject to it, but there has to be some evaluation as to whether we have lead pipes in our infrastructure, in our water infrastructure. Well, so you see the entire list here, so it's a little overwhelming, isn't it? If you've had a chance to look at it, are there things which should be on the list, which are not on the list? Give it some thought.
The piece on Wagner Avenue, the drainage on Wagner and Ellsworth,
Oh, okay.
the two both.
Yes, right here. Okay. So, since this is kind of foundational as part of our commitment, budgetary commitments, at the March meeting, I will be proposing a annual budget that would be adopted for the year beginning June 1. And I think it would be helpful if we had a workshop meeting halfway between now and the March meeting, so that the board has an opportunity to really thoroughly vet the budget.
Well, I see 1/3 of it is the bridge culvert. At Fleischman Heights, it's 500,000. Third of the 1.5. So if we could, figure out a way to do something with that.
Well, that means really we don't, or we get other people to fund it. We work in collaboration with others. So, in other words, we don't spend the money unless we raise it.
Right.
So these are, some of it is aspirational, and these priorities are outside of the annual recurring expenses of the village. So that gets laid on additionally. So I'm proposing we have a budget workshop in 2 weeks. Let's say 2 weeks from Monday, or one of the days that week.
27
27th
February.
February. 27th.
That's 2 weeks from yesterday.
It's 2 weeks from yesterday. There's something happening on the 27th of February. Sounds something. Well, it's a good date. Does that work for
27th, it's about the Monday.
Monday.
Monday?
What's that?
So, we could do it earlier at 5 o'clock, or we could do it at 6 o'clock.
5.
5 would be better. Aaron, is this a meeting you can make? No, this is an important meeting. Okay. Okay, so we're scheduling a budget workshop, public meeting, but primarily for vetting line item in the budget. And then presented at the board
Excuse me.
in March. Okay. What's next? Oh, I would like, the theater steering committee has not been active for the last approximately 9 months when we first had visioning sessions. And I'd like to formalize this with a group of individuals who are vested in the development of the theater, who will work with Peg Ellsworth, who's writing the RFP for the Main Street redevelopment, revitalization to include the theater, to work with her and to be kind of the eyes and ears on how to develop that and to report back to the village board. So I wanted to get 3 people who are actively interested in this, and I'm thinking of Heidi Stonier, who's here, Demetra Plattis, who is part owner, who's the owner of the AGM Flavor, and who's in the building all the time, and is helping to promote and maintaining the interest in communications around the theater, and Justin Cole, who's very active in the arts world, music and arts world that affects the possibilities for the theater. So I am proposing I appoint those individuals to work with Peg Ellsworth. Is there any thoughts about this? I mean, so,
Objection. Always
Those 3
good.
individuals sound good.
okay,
Good.
so a motion to approve these 2 to be the leadership group to work with Peg.
Motion to make that a leadership group.
Okay, second,
What's their job gonna be?
We have a grant for $20,000 for developing a Main Street revitalization and which becomes the foundational piece to raise capital money for the development of properties on Main Street, including the theater. So their job is to work with Peg, who raised that money for us, to make sure that the village's interests are well represented in the RFP and in working with the consultants who's going to be doing the study and the recommendations on how to proceed. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have a clean energy community liaison, which is currently Stuart, and I think are you either you, Aaron, or Yasmin? But I would like to offload that. We talked about it. To appoint Ben Lear as our community liaison, clean energy community liaison, because that's his business, and he is investing in the property at 926 to create a passive energy house and to invest in those strategies here in the village. So, so there are fundraising opportunities that come with this liaison role. So I wanted to appoint him to that role for him to report to the board on opportunities to incentivize the members of the community to explore the heat pumps, to look at the anchoring of oil tanks, to look at additional EV charging stations and other energy related opportunities here in the village. So, can I have a motion?
Motion to bring Ben Lear on
As the
liaison.
clean energy community liaison. Okay,
I'll second the motion.
okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, a motion carries.
I have to excuse myself, I have a failed check to that out. Okay,
Okay, I think we've actually done GH. And I
Yeah.
think we're basically
Public comment.
wrapped up. Oh, there's one other item I wanted to bring to our attention. As I'm approaching the budget, we were able to keep the tax levy flat for 4 years. Last year, we raised it 1.3%. And I wanted to explore the use of what's called a pilot for funding of our tax levy obligations. The pilot is the payments in lieu of taxes. And that's for properties which are not subject to taxes, of which we have 42 in the village. And I wanted to explore that. Because those property, 17 of the 42 are religious organizations, and the remainder are a variety of village-owned cemeteries, railroad, a variety of other types of organizations. Because for those who are here in the village who are benefiting from parks, roads, all of our infrastructure, want to mitigate some of the increases in taxes that we can expect given the rate of inflation and the cost for doing business here in the village. So I wanted to explore the possibility of created a law of evaluating the possibility of assessing payments in lieu of taxes to religious organizations and other organizations in the village. So I wanted to put that on the table as I approach this budgeting period. It's not a quick process. It would not happen in a year's time, in this time frame, but it's something we should consider to mitigate the increase in tax obligations that we have, village operations that we have. So do you have any experience with that?
No.
No.
Mm-mm.
Right. Okay.
And what did you tell them to donate or?
No, payment is it's a legal characteristic like taxes. And so it's a program that is sanctioned by the state for municipalities to either create service fees to those to pay for services that they benefit from for which they're not paying. And so they call it a program called payment in lieu of taxes. We have to explore all possibilities to try to do it. I think that's it. That's everything on our agenda, on my agenda. Anything else you want to bring?
No.
Anything else you want to bring? Then I open for public comments. Okay. Vicky, Anita, Roy.
Winfrey, I would like to turn to the topic of the bridge and culvert issue. Since this, what is our legal obligation to strengthen that area so that there's no collapse and no accident? And if we are legally obligated to take care of that, and we don't have funding from some foundation, is it safe to assume that there will be a tax assessment on the population so that we get that work done if we are legally obliged to fix it and make it and keep it safe?
Well, I don't, my feeling is, it's a complicated question, complicated answer, but my feeling is that we would not be doing a special tax assessment of the size that would be required to restore a two-lane bridge. There are several parties who actually play a role. We are responsible for maintaining the roads in the village. So we have easement that governs our access on that road. The road is actually on the property of the Delaware and Ulster Railroad. However, they're not responsible for maintaining the roadway that's on their property. So it's the path is not clear on how this comes about.
I have another question. You also talked about the MARC project grant writing schedule. And forgive me if I misinterpreted this, but my impression was that this fee schedule was quite high, and we were considering maybe getting other people to write the grants, so that if we don't use MARC, we would have to find somebody else who would write the grants to get funding to fix this culvert.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Anita.
Yeah, you mentioned that, let's see, where was that? At the February 6th meeting, you voted on election inspectors. Who are the inspectors?
Dana and Dana Baker is one. and Stacy Skelly is the second one.
Okay, are there only two people?
I have a third one as a backup. Give me a second, because that person I'm not sure of. He's a local resident.
George, somebody.
Yeah, George.
Oh, George Miller,
George Miller,
a Muller.
Muller, as a backup.
As a backup, okay, but you have Stacy Skelly, who once served as the village clerk.
Yep.
correct? And Dana Baker, who's done this position before.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. I also had a question about the grant writing that, again, that the Mark project was asking for a very steep fee in order for them to continue. However, they have been very successful in obtaining grants. And I think you turned to the board members as someone who volunteered to write grants from the board. Am I correct?
Yes,
Okay. Now, does anyone on this current board have any expertise in that area?
it's something we can pursue. Some of this is, we can pursue that.
That's a very special area of knowledge and experience. So it might be costly to still engage with Mark, if they are successful, but if you engage with other people who do not have the same experience, you might not be successful in receiving anything.
Yes,
Okay, so I'm just pointing that out.
yeah, there are different levels of grant writing. There's the very technical oriented state and federal grant writing. There's private foundation, which some of which are very significant, some of which are more incidental, which are not as significant in the requirements. However, regarding the grant schedule, we would then have to prioritize what we can afford to pay. What
Would
the,
that be negotiated with Mark?
I actually think that the rates that they're giving are fair rates for the work that they do. And it's just that they are using a different model, because Peg's view is that they are not able to sustain the amount of work that they're doing for all the municipalities they work for under the current types of financial arrangements that they have. Particularly for us, we pay $10,000 a year for all the grant writing we get from them.
And they're asking triple that now.
No, they're not. They're asking us to choose what grants we want to apply for, and each grant has a price tag. So we prioritize what we're prepared to go for. Yes, Ann.
So 10,000 is going out for the cost of getting the grant written. How much is coming in as a result of the grant?
Well, we've done a look at that in the past. Right now, to think about this, if the store in New York is successful, that'll be in the neighborhood of $2 million. We have $20,000 for the roof repairs. We've got 20. Oh no, that's mine.
I mean, I think you have to look at a percentage of what you're bringing in that is really a need, and then say, well, am I getting my money's worth? And it's not, I mean, just on that one, it sounds like you are, but I would love to talk to you about this more as a grant writer. I know others of us are grant writers. And really have a look at, well, what is your cost analysis and return on investment? But it's easy to go, well, I want to pay that, but on the other hand, it is expertise. You got, and there's all sorts of engineering studies are involved in site analysis, and bringing in people. That's just my thought off the top of my head.
Thank you.
Mr. Todd.
Rory.
Two things. First of all, I misspoke earlier when I said there were ties supporting the second lane. It's not the ties, it's rails that support the second lane. Secondly, that road provides access to the town of Newtown and the town of Hardenburg, and they not share the expense of restoration of that bridge.
Okay. Todd,
A couple of comments. On the question of whether to acquire the property next door, and how the board is going to consider that or not, I would just urge in the consideration and decision for that, that you take into account public safety as probably the primary concern. You know, just from the naked eye, the building looks like it's about to collapse in 4 different directions, and if it does, you know, there are implications for that. So, you know, one of the primary functions of the village government is to provide for public safety. And so whether or not, you know, it's a profitable venture to take on the property or not, or whatever, you know, public safety is going to have to.
Okay, thank you.
The other in regard to pilot payments, I think that's a pretty complex issue. It's definitely one we're pursuing. However, I think the place to start, it could take quite a while to really understand the implications of that. So maybe the place to start would be searching out current examples of where that's in use, or either county planning or state Department of State resources or something to help as guidance for that, and possibly even at some point a consultant profession, because that could have it could be an important role in the future of the village.
Justin, and then Heidi.
Yeah, a couple of months ago, I had suggested that we bring in a member of the state assembly, whoever our rep is, and the senator in charge of this area. And I'm changing that suggestion to say, because you said that's a good idea. And I'm suggesting that now is the time to do that. Now is the time to let their office know we are about to start this. Because these men and women in the state assembly carry a lot of power. And I would let them know what this scenario that we propose and the problems in here.
Can you refresh my memory? What was the particular topic that we would bring?
Yeah, the culvert.
Oh, the culvert. Oh, yeah. Yes. Heidi?
I just want to ask about the property next door. It seems to make a lot of sense for the village to buy it, because it would automatically fall under a lot of the government grants for either Main Street development or restore grants, not this round, obviously, but the next round. And the village could apply and receive a grant to cover the cost of demolition and possibly create another lovely structure that will serve as possibly additional housing, which is a problem, a major problem in the whole area, affordable housing. The whole country, but very specifically our community will implode if we don't have affordable housing for our workers. So it seems like a win-win. It's just we have to, we have to think, not that it's another property on the rolls, but that it's a very valuable piece of real estate where we can there's definitely money available to upgrade it.
I hope the village wasn't part of that. The grant. That's why we were thinking that.
Stuart makes the point that the village is not eligible to
Restore New York.
restore New York funding. But my, so that's a question to explore.
The village
Is not eligible.
As a participant.
The people who serve on the board, but I thought the village itself would.
It's worth exploring. I don't know.
But you also said that you could apply for a grant for the destruction, for the demolition.
From a private donation.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's important. That's an important point, that those who have that funded, possibly.
Yeah. Yes. Vicky.
Yes, I would told what President and I needed to say. So let's say the village acquires the property, applies for demolition funding, demolishes the structure, and then auctions it off to a private party, so that it doesn't go off the tax rolls. Does that make sense?
Well-
Is that legal? Can you do that, or if you apply for demolition funding and get it, you have to keep it as a village?
All valuable questions. So the real question is the village in any better position to undertake the development of that property than a private owner?
Right.
I mean, that's,
Because also.
yes, Barbara.
Do I understand that if we make an offer, that the village can own it, or do we have to go to auction?
Well, we can negotiate something with the treasurer, for the purchase of it.
Before it will go up for auction?
That's correct. But we then have all the liabilities of public safety until such time as we raise money to do whatever we would do. Yes, Christine.
I want to change the topic to dogs. How many unleashed dogs are running around the village? I'm just wondering, because I know there's the one over on Wagner, Barky and Bark, always chasing cars and things like that. Is there been another dog besides that?
There has been intermittent experiences here on Main Street and on Old Hilltop.
The little dog, the little guy, like I've almost run over him several times, the little dachshund or chihuahua. That one, yeah, I didn't really think about that one.
Does he belong to Martin?
Yeah, it's one of
No.
Mark's dogs.
No.
I
No,
don't know who he belongs to, because I almost run over him too.
he comes from Martin's yard.
It's not Martin's dog.
Yeah,
It's a little chihuahua.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other public comments? Yes, Vicky.
I just want to comment as a question. What is the process for appointing election inspectors? I mean, how do these people get appointed?
Do you want to speak to how you recruit them?
Yeah, how do you recruit?
I get a list from the county, and it gives me Republican side, Democrat side, and I pick one from each side.
Oh, I see. So it's, so you only can pick somebody that.
It's on the list.
Yes, yes, yeah.
And then how do people get on the county list?
You have to apply and take the test and keep up to date.
Okay.
There's training involved.
Training, there's training involved. Okay, any other questions, comments? Happy Valentine's Day. Oh,
Thank you,
okay.
Winifred.
Can I have a motion, public comment period is closed. The next regular meeting is March 13th. Can I have a motion to order the vouchers?
Motion to order the vouchers. Vouchers.
I haven't seen him, I was sick for a while.
Yeah, motion carries, motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion to adjourn. Thank you. Me first.
You guys talk too fast, Ken, right
Said
now.
two
So, Jasmine said that Tom, he said he'll be there.
Who said that? Say that again?
I got an email from Yasmin within the last hour.
Okay.
Oh, okay,
That says
okay.
Todd gonna be there.
Okay,
I don't know if that's totally confirmed, but
okay. I didn't see her within the last hour. I saw her, 3 o'clock. And she said she was gonna call Todd
Well.
after 3 o'clock. So, but that was the other option. She says, Todd has been going to see his granddaughter in Westchester. She was very tied up. So,
Yeah.
yes, but I didn't see her within the past. Last time I saw her was 3 o'clock. Thank you, Winifred. You are great. You are my mentor, my teacher, my everything. You record that?
Still recording.
Okay, good. She's on the record.
Yeah.
hello.
Well, once they're
Hold
done,
on.
they're posted on
Happy New Year,
Facebook.
something. Haven't seen you.
Trying to think, because
It's coming,
I
right?
have to put
Coming.
them, where else do I put them? The minutes.
Okay.
They're on YouTube, they're posted on the website, and you do it on.
So I see
Yeah,
you're making, I see you're
Eventually,
making
but if
some
once I get,
progress at the
once I
White
get them
House.
done, yeah.
I see that there's
Yeah.
some
Bear in
activity
mind,
now.
Anita, I'm trying to get ready for the election and everybody's not. No, I know, I'm just letting you know. Okay, okay. No, I know, and as soon as I get them done.
Yeah,
I
you want to get
promise.
occupancy, I assume.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you, Diane. Thank you, Carol.
You're welcome.
Time to go see your husband,
I
loved
go,
ones,
I go see my granddaughter.
granddaughter.